Hi, I'm Johan Neem, and I'm the chair of the history department at Western, and I teach early American history. I teach courses on the American Revolution and the early American Republic, really fun stuff. And I'm here today, thank you for joining me. I'm here today to talk about the history major in general, but also why doing a history major at Western is so great. I'm going to share my screen with you so I can have my presentation visible for you as well. So welcome. It's really nice to have you here. What I want to do is think about what do you do with that history major? This may be on your minds. It's definitely on your parents' minds. It was definitely on my parents' minds. Not sure what to do with that history major other than teach history? Well, first off, teaching history is great. I do it. I love it. I believe in it. We do educate history teachers and we prepare people to go on and become history teachers. So if that's your goal, this is a great place to do it. But most history majors don't do that. Most history majors have no interest in teaching history. They want to go off and work in the world. They do everything from working in business to working in government to working in nonprofits to starting their own businesses. So the history major is actually a very portable degree for all kinds of things. So the question is why? Why history? Well, surprisingly, perhaps, is because it develops the skills employers want most. Now, in some cases, these are specific skills for jobs having to do with history. So obviously, if you were going to be a social studies or history teacher, you need to understand how history works. You need to have some historical knowledge. You need to know how the discipline of history functions. This is also true if you go into public history, working in museums or national and state parks. And history is also very good for applications to any kind of graduate school. It's good for academic PhD programs, but also professional programs, law school, business school, because it prepares people to be academically successful. But again, most people are not doing those things. Most people are going into all kinds of jobs. So the other reason history matters is for the transferable skills, the more general skills that it offers that employers want. These are things like analytical and critical thinking, writing, creativity, knowledge of other cultures, and imagination, and things like that. And this is particularly important because these days people change careers. So you can be prepared to do one thing well, or you can use your degree to be prepared for all kinds of jobs, which is what the history major does. Now, this is not just me talking. I'm going to draw here from a survey that was done with employers in both the business sector and the nonprofit sector. And what they said is that the major is only a small part of what we want. What we want is a thoughtful, capable, educated person. So the majority of employers say, what do they want from college graduates? And they want things like critical thinking and analytical reasoning, the ability to analyze and solve complex problems, effective oral communication, effective written communication, the ability to apply knowledge and skills to real-world settings, the ability to locate, organize, evaluate information from multiple sources, and other things like that. Notice that most of these things are not limited to one major. But studies show that majoring in the traditional academic disciplines, things like history and literature, but also biology and chemistry, develop these skills more successfully than more vocational majors. So that might come as a surprise. So the skills employers want most are actually skills that come from majoring in something more general. Why is that? Well, part of it is that these are academic majors, and so they really focus on academic skills. So critical thinking and analytical reasoning is at the heart of historical education. The ability to analyze and solve complex problems, well, that is what you do when you try to answer any major historical question. We focus on oral communication through discussions and seminars, as well as written communication. We're particularly good at helping people locate, organize, and evaluate information from multiple sources because evidence is central, and sorting through evidence and assessing evidence is central to what historians do. That's one of the reasons that 3 in 4 employers recommend a liberal education for their child or a young person they know. They know that the best preparation for a successful career is a broad education. Why is that? Well, a traditional education combines your general education, where you have requirements in the humanities and the social sciences and mathematics and the sciences, with, with a major that helps you see the world and develop skills. And that is a great combination for success. So as one person interviewed for this survey said, this approach to a college education provides both broad knowledge in a variety of areas of study and knowledge in a specific major or field of interest. It also helps students develop a sense of social responsibility, as well as intellectual and practical skills that span all areas of study, such as communication, analytical and problem-solving skills, and a demonstrated ability to apply knowledge and skills in real-world settings. In other words, the best education is a broad education that just teaches you to think about the world really effectively, because that is what organizations need. Well, what about money? Well, that matters, of course. But what might surprise you is that by mid-career, majors in the humanities like history do about the same as a lot of other majors. As you can see, and from this Wall Street Journal study, history majors outperform biology majors and are about the same as a business management major, and not that different from a marketing major. So in a sense, actually, history is a good bet. History majors go on and have successful careers. So now, if that is your concern, that you won't get a job or your job won't pay, whether you're a student or you're the student's parent, please put that to the side. History majors do fine. But that's not why to study history ultimately. That's not what brought me into this. What brought me into this is that history helps us understand the world. That's what really matters. History helps us understand the world. Now, I've talked to you about the fact that you can rest assured that you'll have a successful career, that history majors get jobs, but now is what really keeps me going, is that history is a way to gain particular kinds of insights on the world. So what kinds of things can history do? Well, first off, history is our inheritance. It helps us situate ourselves in time. The author James Baldwin wrote in 1965, "The great force of history comes from the fact that we carry it within us, are unconsciously controlled by it in many ways, and history is literally present in all that we do." History is everywhere. It is here. It is right in front of us. It is what's animating what we see, what we do, how we act, but we don't know it unless we're taught to look for it. This is the same as if you're thinking about your body and how biology will help you understand what's happening to your body. History helps us understand what's happening to the body politic, to the entire world we live in. It is present in all we do. So understanding history opens a new lens upon the world itself. That's what I love about it. History ultimately is the experience of humanity itself. This is really important. On one hand, it's about how we got to where we are, but on the other hand, it's about ideas that may have been forgotten, but that if we reminded ourselves about, could be powerful again. It's about thinking about different ways that human beings have lived. It's the totality of different cultures, and putting that together enriches the imagination, and it enriches the capacity to help us think about the problems we are facing today. And ultimately, history is part of the broader purpose of a college education, which is simply to become more insightful. You're here to get an education, not just a degree, not just job training, but to really see the world in new ways, to go out into the world after you're done and be smarter and more thoughtful, not just in your job, but yes, in your job, but as a citizen of a democracy, as a person who wants to lead a rich and flourishing life. You want an education that helps you think about the world and helps you do the things you want in the world. But why history at Western? Well, one of the reasons is that we have small classes and seminars at a public university. People pay thousands of dollars to go to small private colleges, but in our upper division classes, we have courses that are 30 or smaller and that are 10 to 15. And in those courses, especially the 10 to 15 person courses, we get to focus really closely on writing, discussion, and reading. You get to talk with other students about the books we're reading. You get to work one-on-one with faculty members. You get to go deep into a topic. You move from answering what happened to why it happened. And that's the really complicated question. That's the really interesting question. And there's rarely just one answer. We have to interpret. We have to assess competing theories. And to do that in an environment where you know your other students' names, where you know your professors' names, where you may have taken more than one class with that professor, so you've developed a relationship with them, that is what I love about teaching at Western, and that is what makes our history program so powerful. The other thing that's great about Western, being a larger university, even though we can offer these smaller classes and seminars, is that we have a research active faculty, people who are contributing to their fields, people who are giving conference papers, writing articles, writing books. And we are focused on undergraduates. At most schools with a research active faculty, the focus is on graduate students. But we spend most of our time and attention teaching undergraduates. So undergraduate students are the heart and soul of Western. And that's what I love about it, and that's what keeps a lot of us here. And then finally, every history major at Western gets to write a senior thesis. This is an original research project that you undertake in a class of 10 or less students during the fall, winter, or spring of your senior year. And it's an opportunity to really go deep in a topic and to produce something original, something you can feel proud of. It's a capstone. It's the thing that says, I have mastered all these skills, but I've also learned about something really important to me. Well, if you want to learn more, and I don't know if these links will work, but all of these links are from the History Department website, the Western History Department website, but you can learn more about our major and minor if you visit our website. You can see the specific requirements. You can learn more about our faculty on the homepage. There's a link to our fall 2020 newsletter, which tells you about the kinds of interests that our faculty members have. And if you want to know more about what you can do with a history major, you can see the resources page on our website, but you can also go to the American Historical Association's career page, and it's full of information about the different places historians work. You think history majors only do history, but they are working in the tech sector, they are working in government, they are working in Fortune 500 companies, because all these places need someone who can understand culture, someone who can write effectively, someone who can take very complicated problems and make sense of them. And that is the comparative advantage of the history major. So what can you do with a history major? Almost anything you want. It's a great degree, not just to be a more educated person, which is ultimately why you're here, but it's a great degree to go on and have a successful career as well. So thank you for spending this time with me. If you have more questions, feel free to reach out. But I'm really excited that you have an interest in history. I love it. I think it helps me make sense of the world. And I hope that you will consider majoring in history at Western. Thank you so much.